Okay, recording started. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a few questions in regards to discussing just cultural differences in communication. So I guess my first question is we've talked a lot about our experiences growing up as Korean and how it was different for you because you were adopted. Describe how you learned to communicate as a child in DC from your family and your community.
I think because I was adopted into a white family, it took a lot of visual cues. Actually, is like the way I think I mostly learned. I learned a lot of like nonverbal cues, so I was kind of always pretty like watchful about my interactions with people. Um, there was also a big emphasis on vocabulary. I think because my mom understood that language is going to be really important. For my childhood and just later on in life. So there was a lot of time that she spent working like with me on vocabulary, particularly like if I was in a fight with someone, arguing like with friends or whatever. And we put a lot of time and emphasis on, finding words that were going to be easily accessible to me during times of, like stress or, um, um, just, yeah, like during like a little hardships here and there. So
Okay. Makes sense. And then what's your experience been communicating with others who grew up in Asian and or Korean families?
I think honestly, and this might just be like on my side of things, but I definitely felt a little bit of disappointment where it was kind of like, people would be like very interested in where I was from and sort of like my background. But then when it came down to actually, um, being able to communicate in any like native language, um, there was like that felt on my probably end of things that there was disappointment because I didn't have that available to me. So that was always like a hard like point in a like conversation when I have to be like I don't actually speak. So
Mm.
yeah.
A lot of other Asian or Korean families in your when you were growing up at all?
No, see that's a thing. No, not really. Yeah, that was yeah, so that's like why like moving here to Hawaii was actually like a really cool experience for me.
Okay. And then moving here, what were the major differences that you've noticed in communication? Mhm.
Um I think like what I noticed and maybe it's not necessarily universally, but I think it's definitely something that I sort of experienced here with the Asian American population and community is that they're just like much more direct. So I think there's like almost like a familiarity that we have. So it's like they can get to kind of like the personal questions much more quickly. So it's just kind of like um, streamlines the conversations a lot towards like family and like personal life and things like that a lot faster than I think in some other like conversation environments.
Mhm. And then are there any changes that you've had to make in your communication moving here?
Um, definitely, I've had to become more familiar with like all the different dialects,
Mhm.
and I think that like pigeon being one of them, and even just like again, like little sort of like nuances. People always say like, "Oh, you're heading that way, yeah." So it's just like I've started to kind of pick that up and incorporate that in my own speech. So it's just like whatever I'm sort of surrounded by, I end up kind of like incorporating in my day to day too. So it's been a fun one.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to comment about um, in terms of the cultural differences you've experienced in communication coming from DC to Hawaii?
Yeah, I think mostly really just that um people here really there's like this sort of I mentioned like familiarity, but also quite like this congeniality where they really stop to like talk. They want to like talk shop a little bit before um, getting down to any kind of like business or just it's really like conversational. So um it's it's this, you know, kind of beautiful like community feeling where, you know, you're talking and kind of catching up before like really getting into anything. But yeah, so it's just been, yeah, just like this fun um, familial kind of like catching up every time you meet up with someone.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for letting me interview you.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, bye, Connie.
Bye.